Hello and welcome to Moneylife. This is Sucheta Dalal. This week we're going to talk naturally about India's most respected corporate group, the Tatas. So, when the top brass of Tata Sons rushed to Delhi amidst rumors and newspaper reports about a second coup, it sets alarm bells ringing among investors. It's the bluest of blue chip groups in India, right? Where you feel safe with your investment. But as a privately held holding company of India's most respected corporate group, Tata Sons sits at the top of the whole Tata empire, whose economic value is about 45 lakh crore. And this group has long epitomized stability and integrity in Indian business, not going back a few years or decades, but over the centuries. There have been several cracks in this facade. It's not as though everything is perfect, and especially in the last 20 to 30 years. But so unique is the group's character and its enduring contributions to philanthropy through another powerful arm, the Tata Trusts, that it has allowed the group to weather several controversies without any damage to its pristine reputation. I've been writing about this, much to their chagrin, and yet I have to say that it is still India's most respected group. The question now is, can this resilience continue indefinitely? A year ago, after the passing of Ratan Tata, there was a quiet tussle that threatened to spill into public view. I was told that there was a decisive intervention from New Delhi that ensured a seemingly smooth succession, with Noel Tata taking over as the chairman of the Tata Trusts, and he holds a position on the Tata board. That is the Tata Sons board. I had then written, and I quote my own article, a sense of continuity provided by Noel Tata's appointment might be critical as a quiet power struggle unfolds within the group, closely watched by the government. Now, this did not really happen because the struggle has continued clearly, and it all came out in the open just before the first anniversary of Ratan Tata's death. It turns out that the Mehli Mistry faction within the group, and I'll tell you more about it, which wielded considerable influence during the controversial ouster of Cyrus Mistry, which was led by Ratan Tata himself in November 2016, is again at the center of this storm. The power struggle this time involves three different groups, each with conflicting aims affecting the Tata's management structure, ownership, legacy, leadership, and ultimately it is bound to impact performance. So, rushing to Delhi is, by any standards, for a private corporate group, an extraordinary decision. When a private sector group goes and tells the government, please intervene and help resolve our private issues, it's a tacit admission that internal consensus has failed. But it's also a decision which potentially has far reaching implications for the group itself and its legacy. And that's the brunt of my column this time. So, what are these three factions? First of all, there is the Shapoorji Pallonji group, the SP group. It holds an 18.4% stake in Tata Sons. It's the single largest shareholder. And ever since 2016, it has been unfairly cornered and sidelined. All this happened post the removal of Cyrus Mistry. Until then, when Cyrus Mistry, who comes from the SP group, was appointed chairman of Tata Sons, there was a fear among some of these factions that they would take over the group and the Tata legacy would end up being the SP legacy, even though the late Cyrus Mistry tried very hard to maintain the Tata culture such as it is and as he has seen it. Today, after two quick deaths, Cyrus Mistry passed away, Pallon Mistry, their father, passed away. The group is led by Cyrus's brother, Shapoorji Mistry. The second faction is Noel Tata. He is Ratan Tata's half-brother. He carries the family name, has a credible track record of running Trent and Tata International, and again has close family ties. He is married to Alu Mistry, who is the sister of Cyrus and Shapoorji Mistry. Noel was appointed chairman of Tata Trusts last year after Ratan Tata's passing. But mind you, just because they are related doesn't mean that they are together. They are quite separate. The Tata Trusts collectively own 66% of Tata Sons. which means Noel Tata, as chairman of Tata Trust, is in a powerful position, one of the most powerful in the group. But it's not so easy. It's complex because obviously all these others have a lot of power and influence over the board of directors. And there is no such thing as common ownership, founding ownership anymore in the Tata Group. Doesn't matter that there is a Tata surname for Noel Tata, who's heading the group. The third faction, as I said before, is Mehli Mistry. Very low profile, very few people outside the group even know about him, but he's extremely powerful and influential within. He was very close to Ratan Tata, does significant business with the Tata Group for a very long time, and he's wielded such immense influence over Ratan Tata that he is a beneficiary and executor in Ratan Tata's will. He also shares family relationships with the SP group. So, as you can see, all three factions are connected, if you will, and related, but warring. At the heart of the new turbulence are the divergent motivations of all these three. Then there are the two big power centers: Tata Sons, which controls the whole Tata empire and the listed companies, and the Tata Trusts, which own 60% or 66% of Tata Sons. Now, they're not as separate as the group would like it to be, and this is the cause of a problem forever. The structure itself is extraordinary and unique and allowed to the Tata Group because of this huge reputation of integrity and ethics over the last century. Now, the trustees of Tata Trust have enormous influence over the group and its listed entities. Same goes for the directors of Tata Sons. This again has come to the fore through a series of media reports. Now, if they were both separate and working independently, one only focused on philanthropy, the other on the group, there should have been no tussle at all. But the very fact that this dispute and rushing to Delhi arises from Noel Tata's refusal to endorse the appointment of Mehli Mistry to the Tata Sons board tells you a lot of things. Why is it so important to be on the Tata Sons board? Just one answer: power and influence. And that is required for philanthropy. Unheard of anywhere else, would have been treated with enormous skepticism if it was any other group but the Tatas. And the question is, it was all right until you had a JRD and a Ratan Tata, a Jamsetji Tata. Is it going to be all right today to allow this structure? It's clear that of these three powerful factions, both Noel Tata and the SP group view Mehli Mistry with suspicion. He wants a Tata directorship despite being on the board of the Tata Trust. It's the clearest indication about the two power centers and their influence over the group, like I said before. This structure goes against all tenets of good governance and transparency, but RBI, SEBI, the finance ministry all seem to be all right with it. Since the three factions are unable to settle their disputes and differences internally, it raises a larger question, which is, will the Tata legacy survive this tussle and allow the group and its vast philanthropic footprint to remain intact? And is this even a desirable outcome? Now let's examine this in detail. Noel Tata carries the Tata name, but he was never Ratan Tata's protege. In fact, he was kept at arm's length despite his remarkable success with trade. That's why it was a surprise when he became the chairman of Tata Sons and the Tata legacy seemed to continue. Even if he managed to gain the support and trust of N. Chandrasekharan, who is in fact the Tata Sons chairman after Cyrus Mistry, that's since 2017, this position will remain delicate as long as there are these two power centers and factions with it all operating behind a wheel of secrecy. At a time when the group is struggling to assimilate Air India, especially after the recent crash, it hardly seems fair to burden Chandrasekharan with the responsibility of constantly navigating these three factions. Because remember, he's a professional, he's the chairman of Tata Sons, he went along with Noel Tata to Delhi, but he's in this awkward position of having to manage all this. And one can imagine the pressure that he faces constantly. Noel Tata's effort to assert his authority and the turmoil that's lingering within the group because of the influence of Ratan Tata's confidants is not an issue that's going to go away. It has to be resolved one way or the other because this simmering dispute is bad for the group. Now, where does the SP group come in? The SP group, like I said, everyone thought It's going to be their legacy, but Cyrus Mistry was thrown out in a disgraceful manner, again against all norms of good governance, and the problems have continued ever since there. I believe that it was the jealousy that triggered the machinations against him and culminated in his dramatic ouster. After that, the SP Group has faced a series of vindictive actions from the Tatas. Yes, the Tatas. They were excluded from all decision making, and they have been systematically prevented from monetizing their stake in Tata Sons. Unfortunately, things haven't gone well for the SP Group. They are strapped for liquidity in their construction arm. They face a debt crisis. They've had to pledge their shares repeatedly. And they are in a stage where they say, please allow us to monetize our holding. They want to exit Tata Sons. They have a right. They have the largest number of shares. And they have been pleading to the Reserve Bank of India to please ask Tata Sons to go public. Where does the Reserve Bank of India come into all this? Here's the story, and I've written about it before. After the failure of infrastructure leasing and financial services in 2018, there was a systemic shock. RBI was caught napping because ILFS, like Tata Sons, was a closely held company. So, all the top 10 non banking finance companies, the RBI decided, as part of its new scale based regulatory framework introduced in October 2022, would have to get listed. So the Tata Sons and four others are at the top of these four layers, which means they had to get listed by 30th September 2025. Yes, that deadline is over, and that's typically how India works. RBI is mum, Tatas are rushing to Delhi, and regulatory deadlines in India turn supple and malleable when a corporate group seeks intervention from Delhi. In 2024, when this was happening, I had argued that an exemption from listing to the fourth largest non banking finance company would call into question the very robustness of this so called framework, SBR framework of the Reserve Bank of India. I had also pointed out that RBI had failed to supervise ILFS and had actually been questioned by the Serious Frauds Investigation Office. But because RBI is a banking regulator and a monetary authority, it gets away with it. This was dropped. Now, is it going to keep its eyes shut again after the September deadline is over? Is there any meaning to RBI deadlines? Well, the governor has to wake up. The current controversy makes the listing of Tata Sons imperative, at least to keep these warring factions under scrutiny. When a company goes public and it's listed, its shares not only become a prized holding for large portfolios, especially Tata Sons, blue chip, but it also ensures sharp and continuous scrutiny from retail and institutional investors, proxy advisors, which means that it does not even allow the regulators to sleep on their job. So, listing is imperative. We do not want another ILFS happening because Tata Sons, in control of a large number of listed entities which are in every portfolio, is not something that can do with internal infighting and rushing of Delhi and interference by politicians and bureaucrats. It is not in anybody's interest. There's a deeper problem. Historically, the Tata Group has always prided itself on independence from political favor. It has funded social causes, built institutions, but usually stayed clear of political patronage. That has changed. Perhaps the most troubling development is the decision to run to Delhi and seek mediation. I believe that resorting to government intervention betrays desperation and misjudgment because business autonomy cannot coexist with selective recourse to political rescue when internal governance fails. The deeper problem is existential. The Tata Group has outlived its founders. There's no Jamsetji Tata with a brilliant vision. There's no JRD Tata who's highly inspirational and liked by everybody. There's no Ratan Tata who created his own loyalty and group around him. What remains is an intricate structure of trusts, boards, directors running their own business empire, and there is no longer a common legacy and structure that binds them all together, which is why these factions become powerful. The Tata Group is a private empire but has deep public relevance. It employs a million Indians, straddles across sectors from aviation to salt and software. The brand still commands immense goodwill, question is, can it survive a sustained internal warfare? When the corporate boards bypass governance to seek political mediation, it is a sign of lost internal trust. The group's diversity, once its strength, could become its weakness and will invite politically connected acquirers to start circling for control, to start looking at those blue chip companies within the group. A breakup of the Tata Group, once unthinkable, is a possibility today. India's business landscape itself has changed. The state is now playing kingmaker, it decides who wins, who fades, and a divided Tata Group would be easy prey for pressure, persuasion, or even worse. Trustees and directors of Tata Trusts and Tata Sons should understand this and wake up to the implications of their actions. They need to rise above their personal differences and heal the internal rifts, act practical. What exactly does this mean? A. End your vendetta against the SP group. Create a transparent exit process. You cannot have the largest shareholder being cornered with vindictive action. List Tata Sons, clarify the role and composition of Tata Trusts, and end the impression of two super boards pulling the strings not just of Tata Sons but of the entire group by the nature of the holdings. The Tata name has survived wars, crisis, and nationalization. It would be a pity if it faltered now, not from an outside assault, but from differences within. If you agree and you think this is important, share it so that good sense finally prevails. And definitely subscribe to this video. Thank you.